MrBeast held a 1,000 player boys vs. girls civilization experiment, and it was a mess. How do I know? I was in it. But despite being a massive mess, somehow it's gotten tens of millions of views, and it does not deserve them. Oh, did I mention it was for $50,000? Yeah, I lost $50,000, technically. All my opinions, first of all, are based off my personal experiences and things I've heard other people I did the event with and their personal experiences. Nothing's a proper accusation, and really there's not like anything major. So if you're here for major MrBeast drama, this is not it. So let's start from the beginning. The concept is terrible. It's like horrendous. I initially saw it when they were inviting people to the event, and I knew I wanted to see the mess for myself. Because why, in the year of our Lord 2025, it was 2025, it's New Year's Day right now, so year of our Lord 2026, my brain got confused. Why in the year of our Lord 2025 are we doing a boys versus girls event? I mean, the weirdest part especially is just from the start, you have to be 18 to be able to be part of the event. I actually kind of like that. But you have to be 18 to be part of the event because they're going to start handing out money. So it's kind of weird to be calling adults boys and girls, especially the girls. I don't like calling them girls. So a lot of this video, you're going to hear me use men and women as it ought to be. But he's got to advertise to his teenagers, I guess. But it's also kind of internally conflicting because the team that survives at the end and has the most players at the end gets $50,000 or splits $50,000, which it's kind of painful to have to cheer on the death of women when you're in the event, because you have to. Women dying is the only way for you to get your money, and there are people who really needed that $50,000. And also, you got other issues like trans people. We'll get to a specific situation going on later in this video about that, but just even conceptually, they were only getting to their preferred team if they passed as their preferred gender. And what about non-binary players? I mean, I put that in my notes initially, and then I later found out that Narnia, one of the main characters of the video on the women's side, is actually non-binary. I think that's hilarious that ended up happening, but also terrible in the year of our Lord 2025 that you're making them choose a side if they want a chance at the money, which is no. It even encouraged borderline misogyny because you had to cheer on the deaths of women, which not great. We had like a system where instead of saying, yeah, we got one of them, a woman died, the women would say, dog down, and the men would say, diva down, as a simultaneous sign of respect while also celebrating. And that's the thing, when you're surrounded by just men and you're going for $25,000, I regret to admit that I had my piano here, it was on organ mode, but effectively I just... whenever a woman died, which actually I regret now, but also that was just kind of the culture that kind of got encouraged by the entire video concept itself, which is... let's see. And we have to ask, MrBeast is ultimately a bit of a children's channel, right? And so we have to ask, is this a good example for children? Because... you can look at the comments. I might be showing them like here-ish on screen. I'm holding them up maybe. But effectively, a whole lot of boys are celebrating Triple Lion's anti-peaceful actions and choice to slaughter the woman, which is not great. They're treating him as a flawless Chad. And like I said earlier, it's kind of encouraging the boys to cheer on the death of the women, which is, no, why? Why? It's not great for our future generations. And at the end of the day, $50,000 versus Civilization video. Why in a Civilization video is it somehow grossly transformed into a competition? because ultimately there's no reason for a pre-war conflict. Because let me explain. There were supposed to be 6 days of civilization before the walls dropped, and the boys and the girls would all fight for $50,000, and whoever survived with the most players split the money. So there were no stakes for conflict. Why would you form a civilization and have a war in the first 6 days? There's no tension because killing one of your own is actively hurting your own chance at the money. And you can't go across the border wall to the other side. I mean, you could. There were a couple of issues. They killed a couple of people. I may or may not have somehow ended up with some pink planks in my inventory. We're not going to worry about that. I didn't go over, just in case you were wondering. But you can't go over to the other side. And so, in order to do any meaningful roleplay on a large scale, you basically had to actively risk losing $50,000, your share of $50,000. And even to build, you had to risk losing money, because if you build anything even remotely interesting, it's got to be pretty tall. And that's going to be deadly. Do you know how many hours I spent just placing water buckets so that way if a builder fell, they were a lot less likely to die? That's normal in a civ event, but when there's money at stake, it doesn't make sense. And I mean, we had people die to build the boys next door castle. It's not like this is theoretical. We had people who ended up losing $140 just to make Jimmy's video look a little bit cooler. And that's a shame. It's a cool castle. It was designed by Goofy Geek. He made Infernus Castle, and it was barely shown in the video. We'll talk about that later. But you're just actively hurting the civilization video by basically discouraging anything happening before the last day. And also, there's no reason to kill at all in the event. Like, generally, until you're like, you want to have one more player than the opposing team, and that's about where you want to stay, because a single kill will get you $1, but you risk at least $100 by doing so. If you kill a player because of a roleplay decision, you are actively taking at least $100 from them. Statistically 50, but let's be real, $100 from them, just taken away because you made a roleplay decision. And that's kind of the hardest part, because you can't really do anything without like actively taking $100 from a real person. Because if you're doing it for a roleplay reason, it's not like, oh, it's a game. It's not a game show for roleplay reasons. It's a game show if you're killing them to try to get more of a share. And also, it gives you an excuse to just kill whoever you want. Avoma just went around killing a ton of people just to slightly increase his prize pool by $1 every time he did it. He did it for the clout, let's be real. But it's a thinly veiled excuse to just kill whoever you want. And just letting people kill whoever they want for whatever reason is bad for roleplay. There's a reason why basically every civilization event bans what we call RDM, random deathmatch, killing whoever you want. It's banned for a reason in practically every civilization video because it hurts the story actively. It's terrible if you get killed, because again, you lose $100. And it's just, no. I'm going to say that a lot. Just no. I have a lot of experience with role-playing games. You can kind of see the evidence behind me. I've done a lot of D&D. I've been doing Minecraft roleplay civilizations before they're even a thing on YouTube. Like, over 10 years ago, maybe like 11 or 12, we were doing Minecraft civilization things on my childhood Minecraft server. And so we'd have civilian, high, I don't know. They were making their huge, gigantic castle that became even more visited than Spawn, and they were having their own civilization. I made my own, a couple of others made theirs, and we had like a huge, I call it huge. We have an overarching story with roleplay, and that kind of evolved into other roleplay events, some of which were more successful than others in Minecraft. And also, I LARP. That's my LARP shield right there. Former one. It kind of broke, so now it's just there to look cool for dystopian. If I move out of the way, you can see it looks kind of like reinforced concrete. It's really cool. But I'm getting distracted. And so there's a lot of things that go into a good roleplay game and good roleplay in a good roleplay game. And so there are some central rules. Some of these I took from a LARP called Dystopia Rising, kind of loosely based off what they list as their important rules, but these are kind of just generally seen as the important rules of roleplay. First of all, characters are not their players. It establishes, you need to establish a boundary between the player and the character. At a D&D table, a lot of people joke it's what my character would do when they're going to do something disastrous for the party. But genuinely, if it's something your character would do, that's kind of the point of the game. You don't want your character to do exactly the things you would do, because that's not as fun. It's the part of the fun of the roleplay is getting to play someone who's not you. And also, part of the reason it exists is so you can check in on the players, because the characters can be having a terrible time, but you want the players to be having a good time. The players can't always have a good time, but your goal is to make sure the players have the best time they possibly can, usually. Sometimes it's to create the best story, especially on these large-scale events, to create the best story, but the players having a good time translates into having a good story. Ultimately, we aim for what we call character versus character, not player versus player. You want your characters to act against each other, and preferably, you want to negotiate ahead of time, hey, I'm going to do this sort of thing against your character for maybe these specific reasons. I want to get you a heads up ahead of time that's okay with you, the player, that my character does that against your player. And you never use, the game to take out personal vendettas against other players. So that's rule 1. Characters are not their players. Rule 2, avoid metagaming. Because there's a lot of information your character doesn't know, but because you know it's a game, you can kind of cheat a little. What you know as a player needs to be separated from what your character knows. And your characters don't make out-of-character actions. And they don't try to achieve some goal that the character can't see, because it makes the player be in a better position. I don't think I explained that well as I intended to, but anyways. Rule 3, strive for everyone to enjoy the game. That's extremely important. If people aren't enjoying the game, what's really the point? Again, like I said, large scale, maybe it's to create a good story, but those two are very closely connected. And 4th, it's not about winning. It's about community, and it's about the plot. So, to review. Characters are not their players. Avoid metagaming. Strive for everyone to enjoy the game. And it's not about winning. Now let's talk about how MrBeast broke those rules. First of all, characters are not their players. Money destroys the distinction between player and character, because the fate of your character is the fate of your share of $50,000. And that just kind of breaks that first rule outright. It breaks everything. And also, characters won't take risks like characters ought to, because the players don't want to risk their share of $50,000. And, I mean, if you take an action against a character, you're taking it against their person. That's actively breaking the player-character boundary just by doing any conflict whatsoever starts to become player versus player. And it got to the point where there were real-world bounties placed on players. We'll get to some specifics later about them, but like one that never really went anywhere was like Swite. Had $150 in real-world bounties, at least, placed on him. That's for a reason. He's a really, really, really good PvPer. But anyways, we call it PvP in Minecraft, but in this context, it should be CBC. And also, 2, avoid metagaming. People were using video footage as proof. And honestly, this whole avoid metagaming is kind of an issue with Minecraft Civilization roleplay events in general. I played in one where you had to separate your character knowledge from your player knowledge very specifically, and they policed it pretty well. And that was very fun. But in this event, Avoma, this wasn't shown in the video, Avoma faked replay mod footage. It wasn't replay mod, they used something else, but effectively replay mod footage to falsely claim self-defense. And that was a brilliant out-of-character move, but that does not make sense in role-playing whatsoever. So they had to kind of brush over why he was found innocent, when in reality, he had this, we didn't know it at the time, fake footage of him killing a player in self-defense. And also, it just gets kind of hard in the story to talk about, people talking about Discord messages and conversations between days. If you watched Ish's video, if you remember Alanulo taking over Aculon, the whole big snow nation, after like a month because he was in a secret bunker, he couldn't make it for the first 7 or 8 days, and it was just bleeding over Discord. And so things like that get kind of hard to explain story-wise. And that's kind of the point of these, is the story. And also the roleplay, but also the story. 3. Strive for everyone to enjoy the game. If you die, it costs you at least $100. In this case, it would have cost you about $140. And that death is part of a roleplay game, but it's supposed to be a bittersweet part of the roleplay game because it's the end of a character, which is good for a character's story arc, because if there's not stakes, there's not really anything there. But at the end of the day, you are going to be very upset, and only upset if you die, unless if you were willingly giving up over $100 for the roleplay. And so also as a result, it makes it hard to enjoy dying, but it makes it hard to enjoy killing somebody for any reason. I mean, I could have killed, Avoma after you killed like 10 people and still feel kind of bad because I was actively stripping $100 from a guy. And also just the way the event was run in general. We're going to talk about this later on. The way the event was run was not fun for people. So that kind of broke Rule 3. And Rule 4, it's not about winning. It is about winning in this case because it's this bastardized combination of a roleplay event and a competition event. And that's the thing. It kind of split the players into 2 camps. You have the roleplay focused camp and the money focused camp. You can't have a video without people wanting to do the roleplay, because there's not the first 45 minutes of that 55-minute video without people wanting to roleplay. But the problem is, because of the money, it's systematically disincentivized. And so the roleplay people are actively willing to risk their money just for the clout and just the fun experience. And the roleplay people are basically only allowed to even minorly inconvenience other roleplay people. Because if you do it for someone in it for the money, that's not going to go well, because the money people just want to survive to the end and, get their share of $50,000. And I mean, I took an action. I was in the roleplay focused camp because I wasn't able to make the last day. We'll talk about that later. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff later. For how something I did made some people out of game very, very, very mad at me. And part of the problem is I couldn't explain why I did it at that moment, or else it would defeat the whole entire purpose of doing it. And so it was just a mess, because that's the thing. Anything I did, no matter how roleplay justified, was just taken as actively trying to take money from people. To be honest, it's kind of hard to know where to even start on how badly things ended up being run. So, to start with, MrBeast has a guy named Hoodie in charge of his just general gaming channel. And so he was the person kind of sent to run it. Especially at the beginning, there was a lot of friction between the community and Hoodie, because he was kind of the sole voice, he was the sole voice of communication. 1,000 people, a bunch of things going wrong, only one person to contact. That friction kind of disappeared as the as things got better. It was his first day. Everything was going wrong. So he was very frustrated. We were all very frustrated. It wasn't great on day 0. What's day 0? We'll talk about that later too. But trust me, the fact that there is a day 0 is not a good sign. Basically, part of the problem with these communication issues, because part of the communication issues. Wow, talk about communication issues. Part of the communication issues was that there was no ticket system. There was only one guy to contact, and the only way to contact him was to ping him repeatedly in the Discord. And if you had a big problem and he wasn't looking into it, you had to get you and your friends to constantly, repeatedly ping him in the Discord to hope he sees it and gets to fixing it. It's not a great system. I mean, some of the other Civilization events have like 20 people, 20 admins. There was an admin given to each nation in one of them. He had to do it alone because Jimmy, he showed up for half an hour on day 3. He showed up for half an hour on day 6. And he showed up for like 2 hours or something the final day. That's it. And so Hoodie had all these expectations on him. He said this video will get 100 million views.
You are being shown on a global scale. This video will get over 100 million views. There are going to be 100 million people that are going to see you, see your stories, see your civilizations, the friends you're making, the builds you've created, the drama that pops up, and every story that you tell as your civilization grows.
And I have a feeling because that's not because he's that confident. It's because he was told he needs to be that confident, or else he might not have a job or lose a bonus or something. That's literally speculation. Keep in mind that's speculation. But I don't think he genuinely believes with great confidence 100 million views. But let's just talk about how things started before the game even happened. There were kind of 2 types of people before the event. On one hand, you have the Civilization people from Isha's state mostly. Isha's videos kind of have a cycling cast, and actually we got an early invite basically to apply, and priority, it wasn't really priority because we had the same chance as anybody else, but for some reason there really weren't a lot of applicants from the MrBeast gaming server, probably because he hasn't really used it in years. But effectively that was kind of the largest pool was Isha's videos participants, myself included, were selected because I was in 3 of Isha's videos. Kind of, vaguely. You can see me in the background. I have a speaking line into one single line. I know, I'm so famous. But we expected a roleplay focused video. We expected a Civilization video, and we were kind of worried about how the money would affect it. And on the other hand, we have the people who expected a challenge video, like most of other MrBeast videos. It's because they either were vaguely familiar or not familiar at all with the Civilization style videos, and so they applied and were like, yeah, we're gonna go into this competition and win our share of $100,000. We thought it was 100,000, not 50,000. We'll talk about that later too. They got very, very confused about the point because they expected a video about the challenge, but the first 6 days were just this role play thing, and so they just didn't understand the point. And the winning strategy is obvious. It's terribly obvious. You only got money if you showed up day 7, the last day, the day where there's the war. So, economically, the optimal way to have done this event, show up day 1, gear up, get food, and then log off. Maybe join a nation just so you have an army to join, and then just log on day 7, do nothing, avoid the conflict, and get your share of $150. That's it. That is the best way to play the event, and that is terrible for a video. But that's what, I'm sure a lot of them did it, because if I didn't care about a Civilization event, that's what I'd do. And that's the other thing. They moved around day 7. They moved day 7. And so when they moved it, if you couldn't make it, bye-bye money. Hoodie was saying something like, he said that if you're upset you can't get the money because you can't make the last day, joining this event was completely optional. He said it in Discord after I stopped recording, so I don't have it, but this is something he did say, and everybody I've talked to has heard him say to that effect. It's not an exact quote. Which is completely ridiculous. It is stupid. I mean, that's like the one thing he said, and he said it repeatedly, that frustrates me. Everything else is understandable. And he's under a lot of pressure. But that one thing that he said just, it frustrates me to no end because, I mean, we gave you a chance for $50,000, but it's your choice to fight if we take it from you because of scheduling changes. It's just disrespectful, and it's just, it's so privileged. You have so much money, you can understand it. But there are people who desperately needed that money in that. And that, at the end of the day, that's the worst part, is some of these people genuinely needed the money. I have been in MrBeast's gaming videos before, and I was, perhaps before this video, one of the most controversial MrBeast gaming videos. I was part of the 100-player island building competition for $10,000. So, some of you might have heard this story before. A lot of you might not have. So, at this point, it was a system of who was able to react to the Discord ping first to see who gets in. It's not a great system because there were a lot of kids getting in who shouldn't. And they changed it. I'm going to point out when they change things for the better that I'm aware of. And I remember I'm going to try, because that's kind of the point of it. I want these to be better because they're going to continue to happen, and I'm going to continue to try to be part of them. But there are lots of children, some even too young for Discord, period, that kind of got into the games with that system. And at one point, there was someone who allegedly, I'm going to say allegedly, but the voice of very clearly an 8-year-old who won that money. And they got his mom on to say, yeah, he's 13 years old, just so that way he had the deniability. Allegedly, that's what it felt like to me. But I think after that they realized, oh wait, we can't keep doing this. We got to do something better. So they kind of changed the system, and I think they just kind of stopped doing the giveaway style gaming videos for a while there. I'm getting distracted though. I got in because I was quick to react, and so we were told at the beginning, this is your island. You have 40 minutes. If you have 40 minutes to make an island, the best one wins. And so we were set loose to our island, and we started to build an island. I went for an island theme, and one I knew I could do in 40 minutes. It's like a mini volcano with like glass smoke. It was pretty neat. But the problem is we had 40 minutes, including coming up with the concept. So I planned and executed successfully a 40-minute build with lots of details. I even put inside the volcano, there was a sign if they decided to go into volcano. I think like Chandler might have, but it didn't make it in the video. It was my prediction because the Dream versus Technoblade fight was about to happen. This was unfortunately during the like couple of months that I was rooting for Dream over Techno. I'm sorry. I will be better. And I will not hire an astrophysicist to try to convince you that actually I was in the right. Technoblade won, and Technoblade should have won. That ended exactly as it should have. But anyways, they said we had 40 minutes, but then they never announced the end of the competition because they, without telling us at all, said, hey, we're going to extend this to like 2 hours. We had no communication, so we kind of stopped building because we thought, wait, it was 40 minutes that clearly ended. If we keep building, they might kick us out or something. We don't want to get disqualified. And so they did that. So the builds that, planned way above what you could reasonably do in 40 minutes would win. Not win, but they could finish. One of them barely didn't even finish. But they wanted the big builds, or some of them big builds, to finish because they didn't want an incomplete video. They didn't communicate that. And the people who actually did the strategically correct thing and, planned an island on theme that actually fits in a 40-minute time slot, kind of got screwed over there. And then, this is the worst part. Once the time got extended and they selected a winner, the winner, barely even an island. It wasn't on theme. It wasn't an island theme. The judges' criteria, it didn't even meet them. And this This was the winner, the single worst rendition of Doofenshmirtz Tower I have seen in my life. My Minecraft honor was destroyed because no matter what I build, I have to know that I am considered a worse builder than that in front of tens of millions of people. Tens of millions of people. The comments are clearly outraged because it's clearly a bad decision, because MrBeast and his crew, they don't actually care about the rules. They care about trying to entertain the kids, and so constantly, unfairly take tens of thousands of dollars from people who did the right thing and probably deserved it. It's the worst part of it. It's the worst part, and I have been complaining about this since it happened like 4 or 5 years ago. I've gotten over it, except for when I talk about it, then I get angry again. Yet for some reason, I keep coming back. Speaking of keep coming back, I kept doing more challenge videos. One of them was 1,000 players chase YouTubers for fun. The first run of it went so poorly they had to just scrap it and reschedule. Because they had to reschedule, they had to like replace a couple of YouTubers with different ones. It was really fun as a player because guess what? There was no financial incentive. We just got to have fun and chase down Dream and Technoblade and Tommy Innit and like a ton of other famous ones. I mean, just the people I've been in a Minecraft server with because of these events is honestly impressive. And the best part is I was personally killed by Technoblade. That is the greatest honor of my Minecraft career, was being killed by Technoblade in that event. We still miss you. And so I knew in this third camp, the event was going to be poorly run. I knew it was going to be a mess, and I just wanted to watch the chaos unfold and maybe make a bit of money along the way. And also, let's be real, I was in all three camps. I wanted the money. I knew it was going to be a disaster, but also I really wanted the civilization part to go very well because I love the civilization videos. I knew Ish was going to be involved in this production, and so I had high hopes that despite the fact that it would be a production disaster, the civilization part had a chance of still being fun. So let's go over the application process. So it was kind of your standard civilization video application. You make a video, you talk for 5 minutes answering some questions about yourself playing Minecraft. And also, one of the questions was, what would you do with $100,000? And that wasn't just a question, it was also a number Ish threw out during our initial invitation to apply. And so 2 days into the event, when they announced $50,000, we were all very underwhelmed because we felt scammed, like they lied to us. They do better now. They actually, I've been in an event since, and they actually intentionally understate the amount of money they're giving, which is, it's actually pretty nice that they understate that. Because they said it was like $10,000, but it was actually $25,000 if you killed Jude Law. I did not win $25,000. So 10,000 plus 50,000 plus 25,000. I have lost $85,000 in MrBeast events. Isn't that fun? But basically, when they announced it was only $50,000, we felt kind of betrayed because we were already part of the way into the event before they said, yeah, it's only worth half of what we implied it was, which was not great. And part of the application process was basically saying, I am above the age of 18. That was the best they could verify because, again, it was a small operation and not nearly well enough set up. Now they're going to be having a whole third-party system to verify you are 18. They're going to verify you are a real person and that you are who you say you are. You are who you say you are, you ask? We'll talk about that later. But it was hard to enforce, but they took it very seriously. They said that if they found out that you weren't 18 and you were like the main character of the video, they would erase you from existence. You're not allowed to be in the video at all. I've heard allegations that like the second or third largest nation of the boys got basically completely wiped from the video because one of their leaders got banned for something. I think it was like trying to buy an account from the other side or something. But basically, they got wiped off the face of the entire plot. They took it very seriously, and if they said they would donate your money to charity. At least they're not keeping it for themselves. But I was kind of worried that there would be like some kids who didn't actually read the rules and cause chaos, but it turns out they'd rather just try to lie their ways to getting $100. I can't blame them. And that's the worst part, is if it's not, you can't enforce it well, so I really can't blame them for trying to sneak through to get, $140. That's like 3 video games. 2026, maybe 2 video games this year. I don't know. The price of video games has gotten ridiculous. But anyways, and honestly, this decision to keep players 18, I loved it, because you don't have to babysit a bunch of teenagers who are going to get bored while you're gone at a meeting, go over to your neighbor's KFC, go behind the counter and start an international incident because they just wanted to help the KFC cook faster. And the KFC was like, hey, get out of here. And then violence ensues and they start threatening to kill people. And then I get DMs in the middle of a meeting that, hey, we're having a war. So luckily, across the table from me at that exact meeting is the leader of the nation that we're having conflict with. And so we have a conversation because we have no idea what's going on. And everything's a mess because a bunch of teenagers got bored and had the KFC war. I mean, granted, the KFC war was fun. That was just a fun, lighthearted example of the things that go wrong. But still, it's nice not to have to basically babysit kids, and also not to have to try to look out for any lurkers with ill intentions and your nations, because that's the worst part. You go like into separate discords for your nations, and while you're supposed to give an admin privileges, encouraging people to go break out into smaller discords with a bunch of kids just doesn't work very well. So keeping this above 18, good job, MrBeast. I know it was just about the money, but still, that's a good decision. And even if the money stops being an issue, just keep it going. It's a good decision. And so once you got accepted, they would throw you into a Discord server, and you could only communicate with your team. That's it, your team and one channel, because that's easier to moderate. And there was barely any moderators. That's, again, part of the problem is they were kind of understaffed. And so you had to go to your own Discord servers, and they said, yep, we're not going to monitor these smaller Discord servers. Granted, because there aren't supposed to be kids in it, that's a little bit better. I would have been pretty upset if they said that and they let kids in. But again, since there's not kids, it's a little bit better, but still not great having these unmoderated Discords. And it's really difficult for them to have basically a small handful of staff and one main line of communication. And again, you can't contact staff. You have to repeatedly ping Hoodie, maybe DM him, but he's not going to listen to the DMs probably. You got to ping him repeatedly. And so there were so many problems day 0 that he was very cranky, understandably, because he's the only point of contact for 1,000 people's problems. But the worst part is if you found out, if you get accepted, you don't necessarily get into the video. You may be wondering, like I implied earlier, why am I starting from day 0? First of all, they announced that if you got accepted, you didn't get in, but you had to be one of the first 500 players on your team to join the server. And not only that, it was 3 p.m. on a random Thursday for a bunch of primarily American adults. People called in sick to work, so that way they had a chance to get in, which is ridiculous, frankly. Not only do you have 500 people basically waiting to join the server was struggling and constantly crashing and barely starting, because this is normal for a Civilization event. So a lot of Civilization events use what's called multi-paper or shredded paper. I think they're both mostly the same thing. They're developed, or at least shredded paper is used by Pure Gero, I don't know, Gero. And so if you try to shove 1,000 players into an actual regular Minecraft server, that server is going to get way too overwhelmed. It's got to take all the player inputs, everything it sends to the players. It's got to do all the block interactions. It's got to do all sorts of checks. And so generally, those kind of max out at about 50 players. This video was brought to you by Brita Water Filters. Not really. Unless you want to. And so, what multi-paper effectively does is creates a bunch of Minecraft servers that are all connected. And when a block breaks in ones, it tells the others. And so you're basically controlling like a puppet in all the other ones, because it can display a fake player and its movements and all its orientations and stuff pretty easily. It takes a lot less resources. So it's basically you're in one Minecraft server with like 50 people, and then in 20 others, you're puppeteering a puppet of yourself that they can still hit and interact with, but because all of the complex server stuff is kind of split across a bunch of them, it works a lot better. It's still not perfect, and so it's a bit like having to pump your brakes. It doesn't work great at the start, but eventually it starts to actually work. The problem is this very clearly conflicts with trying to get in, because the second the server opens, you need to be joining. And so the problem is the server doesn't want to start because you got 500 people trying to join at the same time, or even 1,000 people trying to join at the same time, and everything's falling apart because it needs time. You usually have to let like 50 people on at a time to let it start to warm up. And then once it's warmed up, then it's good. But the problem is the server was having all sorts of issues day zero, and everyone was joining at the same time. And so they had to keep restarting the server, and people were worried because we didn't know which specific time was going to be the one you needed to be on, or else they wouldn't whitelist you. And sorry, there goes your $150, even though you took a day off. And so after the servers start having trouble, and they say, you know what, we're going to give it up for a few hours, we have a list of the first 500 people chronologically to log on. You can see that somewhere vaguely in the description of the actual MrBeast video, but still, it's not very descriptive. So the first 500 people to log on the server that was barely opening, and that even when you could log on, usually tried to kick you out and wouldn't even let you log in. It was terrible. But that first 500 list from each players, they got in. I luckily got in. There were some people who didn't. There was like a leader of a nation who didn't manage to make it in, which is, not great for the story, to be honest. And so they just said, you know what, we'll try again this evening. And so Pure Juro basically started to work really hard, that in a manner of hours managed to make it 3 times better. I don't remember how, but he managed to make the server run 3 times better by doing something, which, great job, because it managed to actually work that evening. And so we finally got to go out and explore. One of the first things I discovered is that the mountains had exposed diamonds. And so because I got there first, I managed to get full diamond really quickly in like another half a set. So that was great. But then I started to realize, oh wait, I'm hungry. Because for some reason they didn't give us saturation, which makes you not need food that first day. That's pretty standard for Civ events. But basically I had to go back down and find my teammates, basically. And as it turns out, they had tick speed turned to 0. So, if you don't know, tick speed is basically a thing Minecraft does, where it basically does however many random blocks and gives them what's called a random tick update. And so that makes like plants grow 1 more. That makes tree leaves decay. And so basically, nothing was growing except through bone meal, but there weren't skeletons because mobs don't really work well with 1,000-player servers. It's just there's a lot of reasons. It's just bad. So basically, we had to take shears, take down a bunch of leaves, turn them into bone meal in a composter, and then barely get food. And that was basically the entirety of day 0. That was your primary goal. But then there was this little incident. For reference about what's about to happen, years and years ago, Civilian, I mentioned them earlier, did /kill at E incorrectly. They were trying to kill one of every specific type of entity, but at that point in time, if you messed up the command, it killed every entity on the server, every player, everything. It was a disaster, and years later, we still make fun of them for it. That was a pretty big mess up on our little Minecraft server, and it still gets joked about years and years later. I'm doing it right now. Speaking of, where's Shattered Remix? It's been like 10 years. Where's it coming, sub? Anyways, here's the clip. Yeah, that's about it. Somewhere here. I don't think that was part of the plan.
Someone did something they shouldn't have.
Yeah, so Ahmad changed the world border. Accidentally made it way too small while everyone was online. And that's a mess. That's frankly a big mess. And so hundreds of players, not just a couple, hundreds of players got killed. They had to bring us back from the dead, and they brought us loose at the spawn point without our items. And so when I got back, everybody, including me, had lost their diamond armor because it all got stolen by somebody. And at that point, everybody, including me, was just kind of done. We were done. We were tired. We were frustrated because it's nearly midnight. All our hard work just kind of got destroyed. And so eventually they announced, today has been too much of a mess. We're going to be resetting from scratch and starting again tomorrow. We had done the initial exploration, so everyone knew they were going to be exposed diamonds. And everyone was sick and tired. And they announced that basically this wasn't day 1, this was day 0. It never happened. This whole entire mess discouraged a ton of players, but especially the women. Because basically they couldn't find enough women to fill in the women's side for some reason, so they had to like actively go and get some who weren't very dedicated, basically. A lot of the women just left and never came back because it was just that bad of an experience and it was that bad of a time. There were some guys who left. It was mostly women. And so from the very start of day 1, because day 0 went so poorly, the decision and the end of the video was already made. Because there was automatically, from day 1, a 100 player advantage. Not because of the guys creating a better civilization than the women, but just because of the circumstances of the MrBeast staff and how everything was so poorly handled. And there was a lot of things. We're going to get into some other things that happened too. But basically, they just logged in and never came back. And so the guys basically automatically won the video before it even happened. And so that's also part of the reason you're going to see us have this whole entire plot line about trying to create peace with the women. We don't want to kill them all. And they're at an inherent disadvantage. And so they're not going to win the money. So why don't we just split it with them and make it better? And also in character, it makes sense, because why do we have to go and kill a bunch of women? Because also the whole entire video concept is terrible. And frankly, the best solution in that type of video is just to say, hey, we're going to split the money evenly among all the players and reject the situation you've put us in. That was the best solution, but that's not what ended up happening. Also, because of this incident, they had to push back the last day. And so, because day 0 happened, I was no longer able to make the last day. I was too busy going into the woods shooting zombies with Nerf guns that weekend, and I decided that was worth more than the $140. Also, the potluck. Curtis is the only person I know who's been able to make a turkey that actually has moisture. I don't know what deal with the devil that man made, but it's amazing. I am in an advantageous position to turn down a chance at my share of $50,000. But still, I was in the fortunate position that I got to focus only on the roleplay. And so at this point, we go to bed, basically wasting an entire day of our lives. And to be fair, I expected it. Like I said, I expected it to be a disaster. I didn't expect it to be this bad. And I don't think Cody expected it to be this bad either. And especially not the players. The players were done. We've covered the bad. We've definitely covered the ugly. But let's talk about, for a minute, the good. Days 1 to 5 were great for me. I was a guy, we'll talk about the other side of the border later. It wasn't great for them. But for me, it was fun. And it was great. Not because of how the event was run, but despite it. And that's because the staff were very hands-off. They put us on the server and just kind of let things happen and let us form our nations and build stuff. And so, because everyone was, no longer incentivized to get in the very first second, people could trickle in. And really, the only incident involving staff at all during these 5 days was when they announced, oh, it's only 50,000, when they led us to believe it was 100,000. So we were a little bit upset about that. Everyone was supposed to be adults, but mostly were adults. And so it made for a lot more of a mature atmosphere. A little bit more of a mature atmosphere. I still heard too many 6-7 jokes for my taste, but here we are. That also makes it easier to moderate because there's less petty drama and people being idiots when it's actually just adults and not a bunch of teenagers playing Minecraft. So, my story began before the event when I asked my friend Parm, previously from the Gauntlet and the Invisible Hand, which nation he's in. And so he invited me to join this invite-only nation called the Boys Next Door, made up basically of a bunch of former players from Ish's Minecraft videos, Civilization videos. And I mean, part of the reason I joined them is because they were initially going for like a Codenames Kid Next Door theme. They kind of pulled that back and just kind of became something weird and vague. But my initial pitch was I wanted to build Doofenshmirtz better, a much better Doofenshmirtz tower, to prove to Jimmy what actual talented building looks like, and try to prove once and for all that I am a better builder than that terrible build. I mean, can you believe it? It's just terrible. $10,000 because he lied, had a terrible build. It wasn't even on theme. Do we even want to talk about Chris? Let's not even talk about Chris, who was kind of one of the people who voted highest. Maybe if Chris got exposed beforehand, maybe things would have been better, but no. While I'm crashing out, I would put a sponsor segment here, if I had one. But yeah, the Doofenshmirtz tower didn't really materialize. I just focused on building their tower. Instead, I spent most of my time building this really cool castle designed by this guy called Goofy Geek. We'll get to him in a minute. And I got to help design the interiors. That's cool. And I got to do it on this really cool secret server where there is a vague server out there I'm not going to give a lot of detail on that like half of the Minecraft Civilization builds ever designed were built on that one server. But yeah, so after the mess that was day one, we knew there was exposed diamonds, and we knew there would be a massive rush. So we created a strategy as a nation. We'd have a few different teams, and we'd go in boats around the back of the mountains where people got to last. And using this strategy, we actually did manage to get some diamonds. I got a full set and a little bit of change. And when the work was over, I just immediately started building the Boys Next Door castle. Like, it was basically my only job. As for Boys Next Door, it was a stacked team. I mean, led by Triple Lion, who's a great role player, great leader. The video does him injustice. We'll get to that later too. But basically, played an amazing character. His player made great decisions. My character hated his character. His character, remember, a player is different from their character. I try to keep it that way. And so I hated Triple Lion, the character, but I love Triple Lion, the person. We have Swipe as one of the higher-ups in the Boys Next Door, who is the third best PvPer in the world. He's the guy who had $150 at least of bounties on him because he was the largest threat. He is the best UHC player in the world. He is the best Axe PvPer in the world. This isn't just me guessing. This is like actual leaderboard rankings with point system. He is the greatest. And so even if there was even if the player numbers were even with Swite on the guys, I don't know that it would have ended very well for the women. And then we have Goofy Geek, who designed Infernus Castle, one of the most iconic buildings in all of Minecraft now, because of the Ish Civilization video. It's just so cool. It's so great. He was our build lead, this amazing build lead. He did the exterior of the castle. It was a great castle. And I got to help. That was so fun. I got to help do the interiors, because that's why he's such a great build leader too, is because he was willing to give other people tasks to do instead of just trying to do this gigantic build all by himself. And that's great. I mean, even for some of the lower level people, we had Leonum. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but Leonum, he was our most dedicated builder to the point of even falling and dying until like right when we were about to finish. And he got all of my niche references, like my defunct land references and whatnot. So he was really fun to build with. Oh, we have Sitzkrieg. He was doing other things and we didn't interact much, but I'm glad to see a fellow Commonwealth leader doing well. Yep, I was one of the Commonwealth leaders in Ish's videos. we're gonna unpack that later. And then, especially in my opinion, the single most important person in all of the Boys Next Door is Ed Head, who is a musician and quickly became famous on the server because he basically was constantly holding concerts. He is the greatest role player I have ever played with in Minecraft. Like, genuinely. He stayed in character as a sweet, gentle old man who was humble, but also really, really talented. He constantly used his voice, even when he was doing or saying things out of character. I don't know, outside of his videos, what his actual speaking voice sounds like, because he did his old man voice constantly. He was dedicated. He never broke character, always a humble old man, and he was just the heart and soul of the event. Dedicated to Peace's character. And it was amazing to be able to play with him. And then he got me. I played a minor character with 2 lines in his videos. I don't have nearly the talent of other people, and I was a Commonwealth leader. You don't want to be a Commonwealth leader in these days. Ludwig has it out for my head. So after the stress of day 0, I was prepared with my piano here. I'm just pressing random keys right now because I'm not looking. I'm looking at the camera. But basically, I was playing. I was playing Dire Dire Docks because it's a calming song, and Ed was like, "Ah, you're a musician, are you?" Yes, I'm looking for players on my band. So I agreed to become his lead air guitarist, because you can't really sync up your instruments and stuff online, especially over simple voice chat in Minecraft. So basically, I would just air guitar while he played a track and sang over it on his computer. It was still fun because I got to tour basically the world with him, and so my days just kind of became a cycle. First half of the day, I'd help build the castle. Then I'd go find Ed at wherever we're going, and we'd get to tour the world and play our concert. And people showed up. A lot of people showed up. Every single day, people showed up. I then ate once the day was over and helped design the castle. Slowly but surely, we made progress on that castle. And Ed's concerts really were just the greatest. I mean, we started out doing them at just Boys Next Door, but eventually someone made like a dedicated stage for one of our concerts with like flying islands in the sky and a gigantic dragon over us. It was amazing. And there was like at least 100 people who showed up for that concert in Minecraft. It was great. We got to play at Beast Ball, which made it into the video, not the actual playing, but we were there. And so I got to the thing is, it was Beast Ball, and that was the name of it. So it was basketball, but the joke was I misunderstood. It was baseball. And so basically the joke was I prepared to play for the wrong sport, so I did. Over basically the basketball game, and I played the national anthem. That is the MrBeast song. We got to play at this cool pyramid. We got to play at the university. Some guy tried to assassinate Ed. We chased him down, but he got away. But later on, he tried to, when Jimmy actually showed up, he tried to fishing rod Jimmy and said, "Yeah, I want that guy dead." And someone went and actually just killed him. So, good. This whole entire time, the whole Avoma plot's kind of everyone's minds, but he's kind of like a boogeyman, because it's more, if he shows up, he'll just kind of casually kill you. So, avoid Avoma. King Bane, he was part of Ed's band. He set up a festival for day 6. It was the Beast and Berry Festival. And it was going to be at the Peace Bridge, at the border, so that way everyone could hear the men and the women singing and doing their musical stuff. And so it was basically going to be one male act, one female act, and kind of switch back and forth. Day 5, there was the meeting of all the boys, as we saw in the video. And everyone happened to already be gathered for this big event. They're already going to be making plans. Because this whole entire time, this peace thing was really more roleplay, because we didn't actually expect to have an effect on the way they're going to do the event. But apparently, all the calls for peace actually gave us the opportunity to elect one leader, and they from each side, and they would all go and meet and basically decide the future of the civilization, peace or war. We went one at a time, slowly making nominations. I waited a long time because I was going to make, a role-play nomination, because Ed's humble, but he's obviously the best choice. And so I wait in line an entire time, and the guy before me does the exact same thing and steals my thunder. It's kind of unfortunate. I was waiting for like 45 minutes trying to stay in line. It was sad. But in the end, Ed got third place, barely made it in the video, and Triple Lion won just because he was the leader of Boys Next Door. Day 6, we immediately went to the platform where Triple Lion got taken up. Ed was supportive of Triple Lion because Triple Lion agreed, yeah, I'm taking the peaceful option of the peaceful options presented. And that's why I was very upset at Triple Lion, the character, because he had the chance to choose peace, but instead went for war because of more justified reasons than in the video. But anyways, it was a mess. It was a loud, chaotic. Everything was a loud, chaotic mess when it came to the vote, when it came to Triple going up there. And so when it finally happened and they teleported on up here, we all dispersed. And then we get the message that Triple Lion, instead of choosing peace, kills Narnia with a weapon called Act of War. So there goes all of our peace, but we decide, no, we're still going to be holding our festival. I go up to Boys Next Door, where they're having a big international meeting, to announce, hey, we're still going to be having the Beastenberry Festival if you want to have some enjoyment on this last day of peace. And so I basically have to wait till the end of the meeting, and I see the greatest bit of roleplay in the entire bit. It's the best part of the story.
Kill me. Kill a boy because you believed that the girls wouldn't work out with us, that there would be no unity. If you truly believe that this was the only way, kill me.
Don't.
And take out one girl and one boy for your belief.
Why would that be necessary?
Because you betrayed my trust, and I don't want to live in the same world as you. I told the admins before this, and I told everybody that came up to me, do you believe that Triple Lion is going to stand for peace? I said yes, every time. I said I would trust him with my life. And right now, my life is forfeited because of you. And there's no other choice you have here.
I can't kill one of my own. Dowdens, kill him.
Ja.
Please don't. Please, guys.
Oh.
Yo, free loot! My bad.
Thank you. I think this meeting is sufficiently adjourned.
Wait,
Let's make
I
the
am
necessary
here to
preparations
represent
for war.
Ed Head.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah,
What does that have to say?
Despite what
Could
you
I-
just said, the festival will still happen. How do you want to spend
Excellent.
the last few hours of peace? Come to the festival. Let us at least talk about peace and enjoy the last minutes of it. It technically starts in like 7 minutes, but if y'all are showing up, we might delay it a little bit.
Very well. All right. If y'all would like to go to the festival, please do. Personally, I'll be preparing for war. El
can do
Deathly,
both.
will you be leading the charge into the wall?
Maybe. We'll see. Tomorrow.
All right. We'll talk about it then.
And
Thank you,
Triple Line,
20
just like you
JP, for
said.
letting us know. Yes?
Thank
If
you
you
all
wanna
the
go to one
leaders for
person.
coming here. Respect
Oh.
you all for the
Hello.
decision we've all made together.
Yeah, so
And so, after that, they extended the day. We went to go to the festival. So, Ed played, I got to be a guitarist, but then King Bane had King Bane had put me up against a guy named Cup in a Glass to do a piano improv competition. But I knew from the second he did the pre-show that it was going to be a tough time.
Yes,
It's so
it
frustrating.
is fun. I love taking care of you all.
You're good at it. You're
Yes,
really good at
good
it.
song. Good song
Thank you,
choice.
thank you.
Not only was this guy a better piano player than me, he had a very good taste in music. So I clearly lost during the event. It's too embarrassing to even put it up because his was just so much better than mine. People still pity clapped, but I was actively cheering on the other side. I was cheering on Cup of a Glass when it was his time to do the cheer vote thing. But then, during the concert, suddenly mid-song, women start coming in and killing other women actually singing.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Run for your life!
And so every single participant specifically in the Peace Festival got murdered on the girls' side. You want to know why they did that? Because it's their own side, it's hurting them. It's because they met with Triple Lion and made a deal that in exchange for being bribed with DoorDash, you know, real world stuff coming into the game, being bribed with DoorDash, they agree to go and kill the Peace Festival. And so it's at that point that Ed, this peaceful man, finally breaks and wants revenge. And so at this point, I can't make day 7. I need to wrap up my story day 6. And so I go on to do something that made people very angry at me. Basically, all the important people had logged off. There's no one to try to assassinate. But I go to B&D to try to see what I can do. And I notice everyone's horses are lying around. Very fast horses. They've been breeding it for days. But I noticed specifically Triple's horses. Or horse. And I know that the horses are going to be really helpful to end peace. So I decide to do one final act of vengeance.
Yeah, no, you're good, man. You're good. One blood, one blade. Bro, what are you doing? Why did you do that?
For Obama!
Bro, what?
For Obama!
Just got my horse right in front of me.
It was Larblu. Larblu did it.
What?
You killed the horses.
No, I didn't. Who just killed my horse?
Larblu. You
Don't make me
stopped
do
killing
this.
the horses, Larblu.
Don't make me do this.
Do what? Kill more horses?
No, I've been breeding these
No, it
horses.
was 20 JP. He killed all of them and he kept saying 4 of them. Kill him, kill him, kill him, kill JP.
Come, 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 come.
For Obama!
You into
It's not. Don't get stuck in there with him. Don't get stuck in there.
And that is the game. And people were very unhappy. And I couldn't explain why I actually did it, because Avoma's been dead for days, and Avoma was, you know, basically disregarded as someone irrelevant to the story. And basically, like, clearly just seeming like I wanted to do it for fun, when I was trying to divert from the fact that Ed was going to try to rebel against the Boys Next Door Day 7. My out-of-character reputation got hurt because that was the second time in a row I turned on my nation seemingly suddenly. This time there was action. Both times. Okay, so the first time in Ish's video, I didn't just turn on the Commonwealth because I was evil. I was trying to unify the Commonwealth, and I was actively feeding the Commonwealth information about people against his interests. I mean, there was one guy who was going to try to assassinate someone. So I told him, hey, there's someone going over to the Commonwealth to assassinate you. They thought I'm working with them, but I want to let you know. But the Commonwealth managed to mess that up too. Who could have guessed the Commonwealth would have messed something up? They were talking about, JP told me that they're going to be sending someone to assassinate me. Oh, yeah. It was a whole thing, not this video. But after I did that a second time, people really don't trust me, which is going to be a problem. After things went wrong, and I died dramatically in my own dramatic choosing to die for roleplay fashion, I had a great part. And I was part of what was truly meant to be the main plot. Ed, I was his main guitarist. His lead guitarist. But that's the thing. I only experienced the boys' half of the event. What happened on the other side? Basically, a lot of this stuff is all secondhand because obviously I wasn't there to explore it. A lot of this came from Twitter. Basically, a summary of what happened. A lot of this I heard of. Some of the details I got from Twitter. It's all such a mix of information I can't even give specific sources at this point. Basically, the women immediately formed a massive coalition of all the players that should have steamrolled us. But things started to take a turn for the worse when basically there were a bunch of Russian guys who basically deep faked their application because you have to take a photo of yourself with writing, and they managed to deep fake that and fake being women with voice changers to go in and kill a bunch of women just to troll and be misogynistic. And so starting day 0 and even after in day 1, they left traps that kept killing people for days and days afterwards. So there's, even after they got banned, they still managed to get taken out and still kill people after they're gone because of the traps they set up. And so they did it for the clout. I'm not going to tell you their channels, but they did it for some sort of YouTube channel over there. They left racist and sexist signs everywhere, including some specific symbols that I can't talk about if I want my money on YouTube. Someone figured out their socials, and there was no way to report them. There was no ticket system. They had to mass spam they had to mass spam Hoodie because he's the only point of contact, and there's no way to submit an actual report. And so it just became a giant mess, and it was taking forever to actually act on it. And so, because of this, some of the women started getting very suspicious, actively, loudly making accusations against trans women on the team just because of the sound of their voice. And, you can kind of vaguely see their side of the argument, but at the same time, don't do that. But also, this whole entire thing should have been avoided, because that was going to happen with this video concept, because it's almost as if the video concept itself was flawed from the very start. It's almost as if this was doomed to happen and it was doomed to have problems. It's almost as if, yeah. But part of the problem is not enough women applied to fill the girl side. So they had to start taking in whoever they could. And some of the women barely knew the game. Some of them barely even knew how to craft a crafting table. Literally, some of them apparently needed help crafting a crafting table from what I heard. And so a lot of them also didn't realize, hey, this is a week-long commitment. They thought it was just going to be a competition video, because that wasn't really... They kind of assumed you knew what a civilization video was. They kind of assumed you knew what a civilization video was. And so, a lot of women were kind of afraid to complain about this because it would hurt their chances into getting future events or getting screen time on this one. Because a lot of them quit, and because they were One Nation, not a lot of interesting stuff happened on their side during those days. I'm not even the one to even know half of it, but their side of the event was not fun. Just because an event is bad, it doesn't mean that the video is going to be bad, right? Because this prison video wasn't really that great of an event, but it did create a great video. And so there's hope, right? Right? So I want to start by talking about Ish. He was involved with this video. He invited us. He was going to be showing up and doing some interviews, and he ended up narrating the video. So basically, to sum it up,
but because Ish is in it, Ish has my life, he has my soul, he has my heart. I will trust that the quality will be watchable.
I mean, he's great. His videos have so much care. There's so much detail. I mean, they always look so good. He basically did replay mods for nearly all of his shots, and it was all so cinematic. And I mean, his videos just went on for so long, but it felt like they were already over. And the music, he is amazing with music. He understands that the music is the heart of what makes something cinematic and great. I mean, the music coming back and having lyrics that tie later in the video, and different themes for different civilizations. And I mean, just the way he integrates the big battle music and every video where there's a big battle. And I mean, he doesn't really write his own music, but he's kind of living up to like John Williams, because John Williams is composed the music for a ton of movies. He has the most Oscars won out of anyone for a good reason, because the music is core to good videos and good movies. It's easy to look over, but Ish understands how important that is. And that's just amazing. And just so much heart in the video, so much emotion. You feel for the characters that, are just people playing Minecraft. And his videos are great. While I'm declaring my undying love for Ish, I would put a sponsor segment here. If I had one. But yeah, Ish was involved with the video. Let's go over the video, and let's just go over some minor little details that annoyed me. First of all, they didn't use shaders. No shaders in the video at all. Which, I could see you're trying to thematically keep it looking like Minecraft, but also you're MrBeast. You're supposed to be a step above in your video quality, supposedly. You use all these special effects in places, like the wall breaking and jaw unleashed dying, but you should have used shaders. It would have looked a lot nicer and a lot more professional. Also, little nice detail, it was dubbed in 13 languages. Not subbed, dubbed. Which is really, really cool, and part of the reason it's going to get a bunch of views. But also, it's really, really, really cool that you're able to do it in 13 languages. That's amazing, and I'm glad people can actually enjoy it properly in their original language. And man, if I had a line in it, that means they'd have to pay 13. No, not 13. They'd have to pay 12 different people to repeat what I say based off my line. That would be cool. I didn't get a line, but hey. Hey, look, it's me. That's me. Can't you see me walking by at the start of day 2? I somehow avoid being visible for most of this video somehow, but that is annoying. And also, you'll notice these player numbers. Again, a complete lie, because the girl started basically 100 players down. If they showed the actual numbers, it wouldn't seem close throughout the whole entire video, and they'd have to explain the whole entire issue about women being down. But at the end of the video, because the women lose 100 players and the guys barely lose any, it makes the women look completely incompetent when really they aren't. They were just outnumbered from the start. Also during the video, they, including Ish, I'm afraid, kind of make fun of the girls for having fun roleplay. Because what else was there to do? They're putting on a trial for someone throwing eggs. Oh no, it's almost as if there was no incentive to have actual meaningful stakes because you didn't want to die or risk losing $50,000. You basically sabotage yourself with the roleplay, and it shows in the video. But you have the audacity to make fun of the girls for having their fun roleplay, and even then, it's okay when the guys have a casino and the guys do their own ridiculous stuff, but no, the girls can't even have fun. And also, there's barely any focus on the builds. People were actively throwing away money for it, and the shots didn't even showcase the builds at all. The gauntlet in Ish's video, it was my thing I made in one day basically by myself, and that gets more screen time and dramatic shots than, Boys Next Door Castle, where everything important happens in this video. And all the builds are cool, but they don't showcase any of them, even for half a second. There's one shot of the castle that's a quarter of a second zooming in, because it's just a mess. And also, just general problem, there's so many trials. You can't do trials in Minecraft. We figured that out. I was part of the Commonwealth in Ish's videos I keep bringing up. And part of the thing is, you can't capture someone who's just been found guilty. And so there's no good way to execute them. Saparata managed to escape, but then we had a trial for Rorican afterwards, who also managed to escape after being found guilty. But yeah, it's too easy to run for justice. If you're going, honestly, it just needs to become a standard to have some sort of prisoner system or down system. You can down somebody and stabilize them, but carry them around and have them at your mercy. Because instead of dying, you're in a bleed out state. You can stabilize them, you can bring them back up, or you can just finish them off. So I think you need to have some sort of system like that where you have an option to down them and then take them prisoner. Also, the video introduces every nation at once. You got to do it a little bit more slowly for people to kind of keep track, because it really does just seem like Boys Next Door versus the veterans, and then just the girls. There's not really a lot of complexity, and because there's very little focus on any of it. Coraline leaving is supposed to be big and dramatic, but there was barely any attachment to Coraline in the video. Coraline, also former Commonwealth leader, glad to see she's doing very well. And I was scared she was on the other side, to be honest. she was actively training people in PvP. I was scared. But now that the nitpicking is over, let's get to the entree. There was terrible storyline selection. MrBeast actively chose, or his editing team, actively chose the worst people to highlight. First of all, the worst case was Eric Sam, the guy who barged into everything, wasn't relevant, and just wanted screen time. You know why we don't show people like that in the video or give them any notice whatsoever? Because it encourages copycats, people who barge their way into everything. And now that they know they can get screen time, it's going to be much worse in every single video. You're not going to be able to have any meeting without like 4 people barging in and interrupting and being annoying. It's terrible for the future. It's just terrible for Civilization videos as a genre to allow that to happen. It's bad. And then even Avoma was a loosely motivated RDMer who just wanted to kill people. Not for the money, but yeah. He's also not a great schemer. He's not really someone like Fluxion kind of root for it, because he doesn't have these great plans. He just kind of kills. And not only is this guy who's not really that interesting and just kind of killing people, the central focus of like half of the video, it's just not that interesting. And he would have just been banned in nearly any other Civilization event. But because there's money involved in this one, he gets to be the focus just because he killed for fun. Not really any roleplay reason besides wanting money. It's not that deep, it's not that interesting, and it's just a terrible choice. There are entire civilizations on the guy's side, just not mentioned for the sake of time. I feel like you should have integrated them somehow, because a lot of people feel just completely left off. Yeah, it's not great to erase entire civilizations from the story, because, people aren't going to want to do it again if they put in so much effort, have hundreds of people, and then you say, nope, they don't exist. But also, the Ed Head storyline I went over very loosely. He's going to have his own video eventually. I'm going to link it down below. I'm going to try to remember to link it down below whenever he posts it. It is the best storyline, and it would have actually been an emotional core and really help understand the longing for peace. Because if Ed Head had actually been featured and not just shown as... That's the weird part too, because Ed Head was kind of shown in the video as someone you're kind of expected to know by his reactions, but also like barely explained. And part of it feels like there was an edit where he was included, but they decided not to for some reason. Mostly, maybe they were just lazy and didn't want to try to dub over the concerts or something. But basically, it would have made the betrayal so much more heartfelt when Triple Lion decided against peace. If you had followed Ed Head a lot more closely, you would feel the betrayal so much harder when you see Ed Head's reaction to it. And also, major problem with their storyline selection, the girls got basically no screen time, it felt like. I went back and I timed the video. 24 minutes of the video, there's a woman visible on screen. That's about 46%. You might be saying, oh, JP, that sounds kind of nice. But you have to remember that about half of that is shared with the men. So in other words, about 50% of the video is just men, 25% is women, and 25% is shared. That is a problem in a boys versus girls event. Part of it is because the behind the scenes was such a mess that the women didn't really even have a plot because things were such a mess. But still. And also the entire video in general. Heartless, surface level. If it were any other YouTuber, I'd call it MrBeastification. But since it's MrBeast, but I thought the MrBeastification would be kind of toned down because Ish was involved. But I think Ish could only do so much. The video focuses on the scale alone. It's just scale, nothing else. The problem is 1,000 players. It's standard. There's so many other videos, so it's not like MrBeast is doing a higher number than anybody else. But $50,000, considering the scale, is pretty low for Jimmy. And also, they kind of forget that people can do math. $50,000 isn't really that impressive when you realize, oh, that's like $100 if you win. It focuses on all the people just causing chaos to kill, and not on anything roleplay related like an actual Civilization video. And also just the way they covered peace just felt meaningless. They didn't really go over why we wanted peace, just there were people who wanted peace. And so it just didn't really strike me as especially important when Jaw died. even though they treated it as such, just because they didn't do a good job making the piece sound important and something to root for. There's also just not any reason to care about the characters. Because first of all, the way the video is structured, it basically only encourages players to root for characters of their own gender. Again, that kind of gets to part of the problem with this is a video for kids, but also you're kind of encouraging this boys versus girls mentality to the point where you're cheering on the women being killed in Minecraft. Again, they knew Ed. Ed was right there, but no, they didn't want the emotional core. They just wanted killing and death and large numbers, just like everything MrBeast. But even MrBeast at least has heart sometimes. He generally understands the importance of having the heart of your video, but it didn't make it into this one. And it's just sad. And I mean, Ish would have done so much better, even with just dump everything he got. Ish would have done a much better job. I can feel the parts of the video where Ish had the most influence. And the problem is Ish can only do so much. And the editors also did this in 2 months. It was 2 months from the start of the event to the end of the editing process, which isn't really enough time to properly do 1,000 players justice. I know he needs the turnaround, but I think the deadline kind of hurt the video's quality to a pretty significant degree. You might be asking, why do I care so much about this YouTube video? Well, I wanted to have a fun event. I expected things to go wrong, especially after the island building competition, but I still wanted to have a fun time, and I was lucky. I was one of the people who actually got to have a fun time. There are a lot of people who did not. And, I mean, I wanted to have fun, but also this whole entire Minecraft civilization community is pretty important to me. I've got so many friends I can just, contact. I know so many people. I've gotten to do so many things. It's just such a great community. I get fan art. Despite being a minor character in the background of an Ish video. And it's great. I love this community, and so I want it to go well. And this was a great opportunity for the community to basically showcase itself on basically the biggest stage it's going to get. But MrBeast kind of fumbled it. And I wanted also other people in the community to have fun and a good time. And also because MrBeast is going to be doing more of these, by the way. This isn't going to end here, and so I want the future ones for the sake of this community to be run better, which is part of the reason why I'm doing this. This is meant to be somewhat constructive. And because I just want there to be future civilization events. I love these. No matter how poorly they go in the moment, how bad they feel, I always look back with good times, unless it's really especially bad. I also wanted the video to be a good video, I knew that despite how the video was run, you could still make a good video out of it. Again, Ish's prison experiment wasn't necessarily the greatest event. I still had a good time, but it wasn't exactly the most fun event. But also, it was a very great video he made out of it. And so there was still hope. I wanted the video to be good. I wanted there to be something to come out of it, but they just dropped it. I mean, you need to have the heart. You have the best resource right there. You have Ish to ask questions and advice, but you don't. You just kind of drop the ball there. And ultimately, at the end of the day, Jimmy is the problem. I used to feel like Jimmy Donaldson was doing a cycle of good. He would basically turn generosity into more money, to turn into more generosity, to turn into more money, and basically kind of break capitalism and the YouTube algorithm. But now he just kind of only flaunts wealth and only sees scale in his videos, and he's become increasingly disconnected. You can just see it in his videos, and now it feels like he sees nothing but the algorithm. And he feels like he has to be involved with everything. His face is on every single thumbnail with the same soulless smile. I mean, he has so many channels, and he has to feel like he has to be involved in every single video, to the point where his schedule is so booked, he can only show up for half an hour on 2 days, and then 2 hours another day. And that's it. He's too busy going elsewhere, showing up in other videos, and he's basically just, I mean, he said in interviews, he's basically just had the pedal to the metal his whole entire life for the past couple of years. And I think it's starting to affect him. It's starting to make him completely disconnected from, you know, humanity, frankly, it feels like sometimes. And so at the end of the day, Jimmy, you need to take a break. You need to be able to trust your people to actually make good videos, and you don't need to be involved in every single one. Because in fact, it feels like you had a whole bunch of friends, but it feels like they've been getting showcased less and less. When in reality, you need to put more trust in them. Except Carl, no, not Carl. Carl's fine. Except for one who you already got rid of. But it feels like you have less focus on your friends and more on yourself, and you need to put focus on them. People know and trust your friends, and so you can just drop projects onto their laps and trust them with it, and you don't even have to show up because it's hurting your mental health, Jimmy. It's bad. You become completely disconnected, and it kind of scares me, the sort of person that you become. And now, because of that, all your content just feels the same. But that's the thing. I want Jimmy to succeed because I'm not criticizing Jimmy out of hate. I mean, I've been watching him since like 300,000 subs. But that's the thing. I've watched the soul slowly get sucked out of your channel. And so at the end of the day, I've watched you go from basically nothing to this gigantic empire from the start. And you're from a small town no one's heard of in North Carolina. All of my family's from small towns in North Carolina no one's heard of. I'm from a small town in North Carolina no one's heard of. And so I feel like I got to root for you because I grew up on YouTube. I know the algorithm pretty well. It's pretty interesting to me. I'm kind of like the source of algorithm knowledge for my family when they ask me YouTube questions. But so are you. You grew up on YouTube. You're especially always loved the algorithm and its minutia. And that's the thing. You used to, you know, obsess over PewDiePie when he had less subs and all of his subs and try to look good in his eyes and get him to beat T-Series. And is that bad? Maybe. But also, just look at how I treated Ish earlier. Look at how I treat Ish in general. I also really root and look up to somebody above me on YouTube, and so that's something I could really relate to. And, you know, you obsess over the rich and powerful Elon Musk. But here I am. After I've had so many issues, I keep coming back. After I lost $10,000 in a very annoying way to Doofenshmirtz Tower. I don't even want to call it that. It doesn't deserve to be called Doofenshmirtz Tower. I still keep coming back to you for money. The rich and the powerful, that's you. And I can't say that I'm going to stop doing that either. And so at the end of the day, we had the same interest, much of the same background. We're a similar age. At the end of the day, when I see you, I see me. When I see how you've changed over the years, I see how it's possible for me to change for the worse. When you started to become more and more disconnected, I started to realize how easily disconnected I could be. And whenever you slide further down that downward spiral you're on, I see myself. In a different timeline, Jimmy, I would be you. And I hate to say that, seeing how you've changed, how your videos have changed, and how everything's been, I hate to say that seeing how you've changed, seeing how your videos have changed, seeing just the soul get sucked out, that I am MrBeast. And it scares me.